of these little keypad controller mice things that used to have a little Wi-Fi dongle, and I've had a couple of these. One which was powered by alkaline cells, and this one had a LiPo battery in it. It was, you can charge it up using a little charging port just here. Obviously there's an on-off switch here, and they're quite useful. I mean, I used to use this one for an Android TV, and it's been sat for a while unused, and another project came up and I thought that would be handy. When I checked the battery, which is in this little compartment on the back, sat in here, made the contact there, I found the battery had swelled. Well, with LiPo batteries that's not a good sign, so I disposed of the battery in an appropriate way, and I had a look to see if I had anything that would fit it, and I didn't. A replacement battery isn't very much, about, I don't know, £3.50, £4 in the UK. But I thought, why pay out that money when I've got some other batteries floating about? And what I have are a number of things like this. So this is an old battery out of a mobile phone. I don't know what state it's in, but there's no reason why it should be unserviceable. It's just been sat for a while. And you can actually store these. They're probably best stored at about 50% charge anyway. And as you can see, it's got the same type of contacts. There'll be a positive and negative, and a temperature sensor, which corresponds to the three that are in there, which you can probably just about make out. There's actually three there. So what I'm going to do is take this apart and see if I can get to the pads that these come from, put some wires on, and then I'll solder them directly onto the battery and squeeze the battery in. The other issue I've got is, although the battery does fit, it's a bit of a squeeze. It doesn't fit in perfectly, so I need to trim these little pieces off just on the insides here. So I'll do that, and once I've trimmed the bits off, opened it up and found the pads, I'll get back and have a look where we go from there. So unhelpfully, as you'll be able to see in the still image I'll put in the corner of the screen here at the top left, these little contacts aren't marked with pos and neg, which it would be useful if I'd looked at the battery before I removed it. But generally speaking, they keep the pos and neg as far apart from one another as they can, so the middle contact is likely to be the thermistor or whatever temperature sensing device they've got in there. So what we need to do is establish which one is the positive and which one is the negative. Now fortunately, this unit would also take AAA batteries, but it's not had the springs installed just here. And then obviously the contactor that would make the two batteries join up in series here. But we know from just looking at that casing that this point here is a negative. So if I stick that on there, it seems reasonable to assume that one of these is also the negative. So that therefore must be the positive. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Having established that, all we need to do now is solder some wires on here that we can take through to the battery. So I'll do that and I'll get back to you. Okay, so that's the wires in place, secured with a dab of hot glue. What I've also done, might not be screamingly apparent, but I've also cut a little notch here which will allow the wires up into the battery compartment. Something else that's probably worth pointing out is if you've got one of these and you do pop it apart, obviously that's the little Wi-Fi dongle and the 4 securing screws. That's the little plastic switch that pokes up through the top of the housing here. It is easy to lose when you take it apart, so if you are going to, just be careful about that bit. If I'm teaching just like eggs, I apologise. Right, let's get this back together and get the battery soldered in. Okay, so that's the battery soldered in, not the tidiest job in the world. Is it safe to solder these contacts? Well, I cleaned them up first really well with a fiberglass pencil, put a bit of flux on them to help it flow, and was really quick with the soldering iron. You're not connecting direct to the battery. Obviously there's some little circuit board in there that's doing the temperature monitoring as well, or contains a temperature sensor. So if you're quick, yeah, I don't think that's a problem. What issues have I got? Well, I need to put a bit of hot glue or some sort of insulation on there, protect it from those contacts, because obviously if this doesn't work, I do get around to buying a proper battery for it, then I don't want to destroy those. This now fits in a lot easier. Now as I've cut the little plastic snips out, so that fits in quite nice. Might need a bit of double-sided tape, but if I can find the rear hatch, which I had earlier, there it is, that fits okay, he said, ish. And does it work? Well, not yet. I think the battery's a bit flat, so let's see if we can get it on charge. Okay, let's get some power on this, and there we go. So it's charging up. So it's obviously recognising the battery. Things seem to be working okay. So I'll leave it on charge, and hopefully everything will be tickety-boo. So I'll go back, put that hot glue on now, so there's no accidents inside the circuitry, and I'll let you know in a short while whether it worked. Okay, so it's been on charge now for about, I don't know, an hour. And yeah, that seems to be fine.